Welcome back to the Better Learning Podcast. We are continuing our conversations at EDspaces in Columbus, Ohio. We hope you're enjoying this series, and let's dive back in.
All right, Celeste, welcome to the Better Learning Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us your name, who you're with, where you're coming to us from, and we'll go from there.
My name is Celeste Karier. I'm with FGM Architects out of their headquarter office, which is just outside of Chicago. I've been with the company for about 13 years, and it's basically been my entire career, which has almost entirely been focused on education, PK-12 education design.
Perfect, and that's exactly why you're here today, because we want to hear from you and understand better what you're doing in the spaces that you're creating. So what does radically student-centered mean to you?
So anytime that we're doing designs, obviously, I would hope the main goal for everybody is that we're designing better education spaces for our students. It also means that those spaces need to support the other people that contribute to their academic performance so that they can support those students through their learning journey.
Perfect. I think that kind of just takes us right on into this next question, but how do you move conversations from what adults want to what will best serve the students? So you just described what you, or how you see radically student-centered. So now, take it into this question. So how are you making sure those conversations go to the students? Yeah.
Sure. So the way that I interpret this is early on discussions with our clients during programming when we're gathering information. We are going to hear most likely from the adults first, and you want to listen to them. You want to get as much of that information back from them as you can. They may not always be wrong, but they may also not have all the information that they may even want without knowing it to help us best serve them in moving forward with their design. So we have those kind of conversations, and then we also talk to them. Obviously, we want student input if possible. A lot of times we will do that with surveys. Usually we'll have some kind of idea of what type of space or the scope of work that a client's looking to do, and we'll tailor those surveys in a way that allows students to hopefully give anonymous and pure responses that'll help us. And we kind of filter through those. And then I think one of the biggest things is not just getting feedback from the students. You want to show the client the types of spaces that they're looking to do, how they actually work in the real world. And a lot of times we'll start talking about tours, going on tours. Even if there's not a specific project that you can find within that area that is a direct relation to that, there's still usually something similar enough that it's a good opportunity for them, depending on their situation, to especially get to see some of the newer design concepts that are being introduced and how that looks in real time with students and teachers. It's actually surprisingly a lot easier to communicate between other districts, getting in contact with their CSBOs or principals at the schools, because a lot of that is public information. And a lot of times they're very open to having those kinds of conversations and tours. They get really excited about showing off their spaces. Yeah. And then kind of one of the conversations we were having a little bit earlier last night, we're huge advocates for prototyping spaces that not only give teachers and administrators ideas from a furniture standpoint, but maybe even from an architectural standpoint too, because we've done mock-up classrooms. How that furniture works within their pedagogy gives them a time to kind of kick the tires and really develop a plan moving forward that they're comfortable with and that we've supported, guiding them through that process.
And they have to feel so much better about going forward when they've actually...
Yep. And it gives them the opportunity to hear direct feedback from students on how that furniture is different than and the space, how the space is functioning differently than what they have, what they're used to, and maybe even what they're experiencing throughout the day if they are working through periods.
I can't agree more with you on that one. I think that's ideal. All right, last question I have for you, just kind of tie it all together. How do you see the radically student-centered approach evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
It's really hard to imagine. Like, I think back 10 years and there's a lot different. And everything every year is starting to progress much, much quicker than it did the year before. One of the major conversations that we know are being had is about AI. And we really haven't figured out what that means. Certainly from a classroom standpoint, I know those conversations have progressed a lot further, but from an architectural standpoint, how is that going to influence our designs in the future, if it does? So it's just going to be really interesting to hear and see what comes out of that. I think that's one of the things that we're really kind of keeping our ear to the ground on.
Yeah, for sure. I think,
Just keep up with.
yeah, and just stay on top of it.
And how do we support that if it's probably not going away? It's like one of those cats out of the bag. I don't think you're getting it back in, but what does that look like?
Yeah.
So you don't quite know.
I know. It's exciting, but it's also a little frightening at the same
scary,
time.
yeah. It's scary and exciting. I think there's a lot of ways it could be great. I think there's a lot of ways it could be detrimental, but you just hope that we find our way through that in a positive way.
Well, I certainly don't want to keep you from sharing anything else. If there's anything else you feel like sharing about what you do or some of the districts you've served, you are welcome to share it here. I love hearing, your thoughts on that radically student-centered approach and hearing about how you're putting, the students at the center of what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I missed too in there is really we want to support the adults that are supporting them, but also supporting the students from not just an academic standpoint, but also making sure that they feel supported from a social emotional standpoint as well, which is really important to the success of their learning experience.
And that affects everything, the community, the overall just climate of the school. And so, well, we are so happy to have you with us today.
Really excited to have gotten to talk to you guys a little bit more in your group, and very excited.
I'm excited, and we will definitely invite you to come back and sit down with us and hear about what you have going on, in the future.
Happy to collaborate.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this special EDspaces edition of the Better Learning Podcast. We hope today's conversation sparked new ideas and reminded you just how powerful student-centered learning environments can be. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone who's passionate about improving education. And as always, keep pushing forward, keep rethinking what's possible, and keep making learning better, one space at a time. We'll see you in the next episode.